let me know if I step away if it's... Rachel, do you think this is loud enough? Or do I need a mic? Mike? Okay, because I'm going to do something a little bit differently. In chapter 3 of the book, he talks about how Jesus sympathizes with us. And so I thought one of the best ways to remember something and to take something into our hearts is through story. So I'm going to do a drama based on what I think my life would have looked like had I lived in AD 30, and based on the fact that Jesus does definitely sympathize with us. Okay, you did say mic. All right. I've not done this with a mic, and I've done this for like 20 years. So, all right. It's strange, this thing called a wish. It's like that cliche, be careful what you wish for. It just might come true. People used to ask me, why don't you trust God? And I'd say, look at me. That ought to be answer enough. And then they'd get those pitying looks on their faces. Poor Carrie. To the point where I just couldn't stand it. So I tried to say something striking like, I wish God knew what it was like to be me. When he comes down here and walks in my shoes, then I'll trust him. Or I wouldn't get those pitying looks. I'd hear, oh, honey, good things come in small packages. Let me tell you about this good thing. It's walking down the street, and people move away from you because no one wants to walk near you. Others stare at you every move you make. Or they don't stare at you. They turn their heads as you pass by, refusing to look at you. It's children looking at you like, what planet are you from? It's loneliness because no one understands you. And sometimes that can include your own family. So at night, I go to the roof of my house in Nazareth and I talk to this God. Oh, I believe he existed. I just didn't trust him. Do you know what it's like, God, when people want you dead just because you can't fit the mold? Remember the relay races? I was 7 years old, and everyone was divided into 2 teams except for me because the 2 captains didn't want me. And my teacher said that I could choose which team I wanted to be on, and I was excited because my best friends just happened to be on one team, and I ran up to join them. They switched teams. I am so tired of having to ask someone to get me something to drink because I cannot reach to get it for myself. I wish you knew what it was like to be me. It was strange. The next day, this Jesus guy came up to me. Yeah, the Jesus. And he said 4 little words. Your wish is granted. Then again, maybe it's not so strange because he's the strangest guy I've ever met. He thinks he's the son of God. Everyone else thinks he's demon-possessed. He goes around healing people, and his own family thinks he's completely out of his mind. I did hear one story, though. His disciples came to a man, my friend Susanna was telling me this story. His disciples came across a man born blind. And his disciples said to Jesus, Rabbi, who sinned this man that he was born blind? His parents or himself? You know, they didn't care that he couldn't see. They didn't care that he could hear every word that he was saying, that they were saying. They didn't care that he was forced to beg because of it. They just wanted to talk about his sin. And I couldn't help but think, what must Jesus be like if these are his disciples? But Susanna said, no, Terry. Jesus was angry. And he turned to his disciples. He said, neither this man sinned, nor his parents, but this was done so that the glory of God would be shown in him. The glory of God and a man born blind? The glory of God in me? Because after all, to everyone else, I'm just a freak show. Time passed, and my family and I went to Nazareth for the Passover. Friday morning, Susanna came knocking on the door. I said, Susanna, what's wrong? Carrie, they've taken Jesus. They're going to crucify him. I said, Susanna, why would they crucify Jesus? He's done nothing wrong. I grabbed my cloak and ran after her. And she said, for a lot of reasons. One of them being, he doesn't fit the mold. It was a horrific sight watching him walk down the street. People moved away from him because no one wanted to walk near him. Others stared at him as he passed by. Children were looking at him like, what planet are you from? He was beaten so badly, he didn't look human. In fact, he was ugly. And he was so weak carrying that cross. And finally, he couldn't carry it anymore, and they got some Simon guy to do it. And I said, Susanna, where are his disciples? Why aren't they here with him? His disciples have left him, Carrie. It looks like they've switched teams. Finally, they get him on the cross, and he's in so much pain. And I could hear people commenting and people staring. And the Pharisees were saying, he saved others, but he can't save himself. And still people kept staring at him, and it made me mad. And I turned to Susanna, I said, Susanna, this is wrong. They are staring at him like he's a freak show. Freak show. Jesus? God? Is it you? You said you'd fulfill my wish, but I wasn't expecting this. You do know what it's like to be me. All this time, I thought it was you who didn't understand me, but it was I who didn't understand you. I am thirsty, he said. And because he could not reach to get himself something to drink, someone else had to do it for him. It is finished, he said. Yes, Lord, it is finished. I trust you now. So what pain do you think the Lord doesn't understand? What pain do you wish he understood? I have 4 words for you. Your wish is granted. At your table, you may have copies of this. It's called Jesus Understands What It's Like. When Dane Ortland said in How Jesus Can Sympathize, he wasn't kidding. This is the beauty of Jesus, y'all. I actually started this when I was 18. So I'm now 47. So it's 29 years in the making. I keep adding to it. If you notice, there's another date on there of this year. I keep adding to it. I keep adding to it. I keep seeing how Jesus understands what it's like to be us. And I'm telling you, I'm going to be adding to it the rest of my life. Because that's how Jesus is so cool. That's how he is awesome. So if you need extra copies, Rachel can hand those out to you. There's all of these, it's all based on scripture. And I've triple checked it so the references are correct. But there is one thing that's not on there. And I need to tell you why it's not on there and what it is. And it's going to take us to a little bit of a hard place. But I hope it will be a place of healing. So some of you who know me will know my story. I'm a therapist, I'm a pastor's wife. I've also got 4 babies in heaven. So in 20 months, Mark and I had 4 miscarriages. And in that pain, I took it to the Lord and I said, Lord, you have never failed to show me that you know what it's like to be me. But let's face it, you've never had a period. But I know, because I know who you are, I know that you can show me that you know what it's like to have a miscarriage. So I'm asking you, show me what it's like to have a miscarriage. And guys, I tell you, that fast, he said, Judas was my miscarriage. And I wept for the first time for him and not for me. Because I'd always thought, well, he's been saying, he's the son of perdition. You guys are going to betray me. So I'm like, okay, yeah, it's sad. Judas betrays him. Whatever. But if you've ever had a miscarriage, you know how heartrending that is. And I cried for him, and I said, Jesus, I'm so sorry. I had no idea that you experienced that pain when Judas left you. And so I hope that's healing for some of you ladies. I know we've got women who've gone through that loss. And I hope that encourages you that we can take our pain, take our sin to Jesus because he's been there. And like I said, we are going to keep adding. I'm going to keep adding to this list because that's how marvelous he is. And just, like I said, just take it to Jesus. Say, if it sounds bizarre, like he's never had a period, I don't care. Just take it to him and say, Jesus, show me that you understand this pain. It's so much easier for me to follow a Jesus that understands and loves us so much. And that was one of the things that was shocking to me of just, I guess because I'm a third generation firstborn child, so I need therapy. But I never pictured Jesus as wanting to love us that much, like wanting to just get to me as fast as he can when I'm sinning, as the book talks about. And I guess one of the ways to describe it would be, Jesus loves us the most when we like ourselves the least. And it's like another way to describe it would be, his bank account of love, mercy, and grace never goes empty. He will write the checks of love, grace, and mercy, and we can draw on them every single time, and those checks will never bounce. And that is just so awesome when I think about that. That's who he is. There's another thing the author talked about temptation, and I think the best way to describe when I think about Jesus and how he resisted temptation is for Jesus, temptation was a perpetual itch he never got to scratch. Have you ever thought about that? Like an itch you can never scratch? And one day it hit me as I was reading through the Word. So through Adam and Eve, we were in the garden, perfect relationship with our spouse, perfect bodies, perfect relationship with God, and yet we still said yes to Satan. Jesus was in a desert, starving to death, alone, and he said no to Satan. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like I could take that thought and meditate on it the rest of my life and never drink it all in. That that's who he is, that that's his love for us. One of the things that we've done with our children is John 3:6. We teach them John 3:16, but we've also made sure to teach them John 3:17, because for God did not send his Son into the world to judge the world, but that the world might be saved through him. Because I want my children to know, yes, you're a sinner, but Jesus didn't come here to judge you. Jesus came here to grab you, to love you, and to hug you up. And I was thinking, love does not define God. God defines love. And when I can think about God that way, it's like, I can't take that in. I can't take his level of love in. When y'all figure out how to do that, let me know. It's like my heart is too small and his heart is too big for me to soak it in. But that's who he is. Love. I can never be less loved today. If my husband leaves me, he won't. I'll kill him. But if my husband, I've seriously said to him, if you die before me, I'll kill you. So, if my husband leaves me, he won't. I am still just as loved today as I was the day he didn't leave me, because I'm loved by an infinite love. I can't be any less loved than I am today. And I hope that's encouraging to you all. Lastly, I did want to say, because I think our time's about up, I put on the table another article. I'm nerdy like this, so I put on the table another document that says when God doesn't feel gentle. The book, I've read the whole book, and so it, like in 2 pages, basically he says, just go to God, just go to God. And that's okay, but for me, maybe because I'm feisty, I need something to sink my teeth into, a little more than just go to God when he doesn't feel gentle. And so I just put some thoughts that I had down, some heroes of the faith, and some Bible verses that have been just so helpful for me. I can tell you that God is very gentle, because I'm not proud of this, but I've cursed in my prayer journals. I didn't tell him where he'd go, I just asked him where he was. And yet I'm still alive, and he is still so gentle. So that's all I've got. I hope that blesses you. Just may you know how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Jesus Christ for you.